Good evening, my name is Aine Duffy and you're welcome to Cavan TV's News and Views. This programme is brought to you weekly on Fridays 7 to 8. Each week we take a look at what is going on in the county and we invite guests to chat live in the studio. So, if you would like to be a correspondent for your area, you can email us at drumlinmedia@gmail.com, or if you have something interesting going on, please do let us know. This week my guest is Vallaly, a writer from Ballinamore, County Leitrim, and we have an in-depth interview with Catherine later. And on the national level this week, the weather is the headlines this week. The weather is getting the headlines. Great Britain and Northern Ireland are still under huge drifts of snow. The drifts are estimated to be at least 5 feet deep in some places. This is considered quite freakish weather for this time of the year. Northern Ireland is severely hit with mountain passes and country roads blocked. Many households and farms are completely cut off. Farmers are extremely worried for the fate of their animals as feeding is impossible in some areas. Also, newborn lambs are perishing as they are not able to survive in the sub-zero temperatures. RAF Chinook helicopters have come to the rescue by dropping feeding to distressed animals. While the snowstorms have stopped, -0 temperatures are preventing a major thaw. Here in the south of Ireland we have escaped the snowstorms but have been subjected to high winds with a blistering wind chill factor. And indeed the forecast for the coming week is for more of the same. So I hate to say this folks, but there won't be much chance of getting the Easter bonnets out or putting the hood down on the car and going for a spin topless. On the county news, last week the winners of the Anglo-Celt Rehab Cavan Person of the Year were announced. In the community group of the year, So Sad or Save Our Sons and Daughters was the winning group. The community volunteer of the year was John Donoghue from Crusherlaw. Fundraiser of the year, Lorraine O'Neill from Red Hills. Young person of the year, Orla Smith from Drumalee. Sports person of the year was the young runner from Butler's Bridge, Clodagh O'Reilly. Grand person of the year was Mamina McKeever from Arva. Good neighbour of the year was Aoibhinn Smith from Stradone, who, if you remember, was a guest in the studio last week. And Cavan Emigrant of the year was John Clancy, who now lives in New York. The overall winner was John Donoghue from Crusherlaw. John is also volunteer of the Volunteer of the Year. John was praised for his part in raising funds for the restoration of St Mary's Chaw in Crusherlaw. A choir master and a member of the local drama group, John directed the field, and 18 sellout shows later, €30,000 was raised towards the restoration funds. We look forward to having John in the studio next week, where he'll be telling us all about his work and winning the award. And to local town news. Well, in Arva, the Arva Trotters group will be out each Sunday morning at 11:15, and the starting point is the Market Square. Everybody is welcome. Also in Arva, social dancing will take place in the Breffni Arms Hotel on Friday, April 5th. Music is by G&S Sound. Ballina news, the credit union returns to its original office in the main street and will be officially opened next Thursday. In Killeshandra, the Active Age Group are organising the annual spring break for the Killeshandra Milltown area. The trip is to the Arklow Bay in Wicklow. It's from Monday, April the 29th to Thursday, May the 2nd. The price, all-inclusive, is €289. Now, you need to contact Marion early to book a place. And contact Marion on 049 433 4990. And in Drumlane, plans that were in place to celebrate a dawn mass in the Drumlane Abbey on Easter Sunday morning have been cancelled. The area around the Abbey is flooded after the recent bad weather. Kernafane news, a whist drive will be held in McShane's Lounge on Monday night next at 8:45 sharp. New players welcome and supper will be served. Mullahoran news, the play Victor's Stung is being hosted by the local GAA club. It will be held in the Parochial Hall on Sunday, April the 28th. It's an absolutely hilarious play written by Seamus O'Rourke. I happened to see this twice. Once was at the Lakeland Festival in Clones. And speaking of which, there was a press release during the week to say that the Lake Festival will not be, the Flat Lakes Festival will not go ahead this year either, which is a pity because it was a brilliant festival. Cootehill, an aptly named walking group, Happy Feet, continue to meet every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. The meeting place is St Michael's Hall in Cootehill town. Bono, the Progressive 25 card game, is in the community centre every Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. New members welcome. Now, where to go and what to do for Easter weekend? Well, I say that out in Ballina, you can go and bring the family along to Circus Corvina. The circus will be there for all of next week. And if you want to see the play Trad, it's in Shercock Hall tonight. It's presented by the Mill Race Drama Group, who won the confined section in this year's Cavan Drama Festival. Easter Monday night is Fight Night in the Imperial Cavan. It kicks off at 8 p.m. and it's in aid of the Michaela Fund. A host of local people have been in training and are pitting themselves against each other, men and women alike. It's an Easter special in the Country Club in the Hotel Kilmore, with Declan Nerney on Saturday night and Johnny Brady on Sunday night, and you will hear more about that later from Seamus. The only place that I could see having a parade this weekend is Belturbet. Belturbet is hosting its spring parade. The parade is at 4 o'clock and it's followed by music and entertainment on the street. Now, so my first guest this evening is Catherine Vallaly. Catherine is a writer from Ballinamore in County Leitrim, and she's going to tell us all about her interesting life when she lived in Madrid and about her meeting along the road one night of Cavan McAveer. And he is the defunct businessman who said he was imprisoned for about 7 months. And it seems now that's all a hoax, but we will talk to Catherine about her life and about her meeting of this man. So with me now in the studio is Catherine Vallaly from Leitrim. And you're very welcome, Catherine, to the programme this evening. And Catherine has been in the media lately. But before we get to that, I'd like to talk about Catherine and find out about Catherine. First of all, Vallaly it's an unusual name, Catherine.
Yes, but it is Irish. It's from Armagh originally, but I'm from County Galway.
So you've lived in County Galway?
Yes, before I emigrated.
And you don't have a particularly Irish accent either. You've lived...
I don't know. People say I do, other people say I don't, so I don't know.
Okay. So, Catherine, you lived in Madrid for many years?
Yes, I was married to a Spanish man, and I have 3 Spanish children.
Grown
up.
And, Catherine, you're a writer?
Yes, I've started. When I was in Madrid, I used to write in Spanish. So, since I came back to Ireland, I've started in English. And I like it.
You like the short stories?
Yes, I'm writing a novel, but that's taking a long time, so every now and then I write a short story.
Like?
For example, I have one that's called Shergar in the Fairy Ring, and I
Does that allude to the Shergar that disappeared in Leitrim?
Yes, the famous horse. And I sent it to this digital radio station in England, and they loved it, and they broadcast it. And then I have other stories about Spain. So more or less that's what I do, you know.
And you lived in Galway, so you left Ireland at 18 years of age, and you started your travels around the world then at 18.
Well, I just got to Scotland, London and Madrid.
Well, tell us about that.
Well,
that was very young to leave Ireland then, wasn't it?
But
not in those days.
Not in those days.
Young.
Yeah, it wasn't in those days.
So you went to Scotland first to work, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you qualify as anything? Did you train as anything before you went?
No, the typical leaving cert and your commercial course.
Well, the commercial course was a good start into office. Yeah.
Yes, but I mean, I remember when I was in London, I was in an agency called Kelly's, and the English girl thought us Irish girls were so highly qualified.
Right,
and I thought I just had my leaving. I didn't think there was anything special about that. But she thought it was, because we had stayed on at school till we were 18.
Really, yeah. So you did secretarial work. You worked always in secretarial work.
No, when I was in Madrid I started to teach. There's a thing called TEFL.
Okay, tell us about that.
You study and you learn how to, it's called teacher of English as a foreign language. So it's very interesting, and Irish people seem to be good teachers because we have learned Irish. So when we do get up in front of the blackboard, we know there's a past tense, a future tense, we know what an adverb is, adjective and things like that. And it's it was nice.
So you got married in Madrid?
No, actually I got married in Tuam. I met my husband
met
in
your
London.
husband?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's
And-
Spanish, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Oh yes, yes, he's still alive, but he's my ex-husband.
Yeah, but he's Spanish. Tell us a little bit about being married and living in Spain.
Well, I lived in a very interesting time in Spain because General Franco was still alive. He's the dictator. In Spain in 1934, I think it was, 39, I'm not too sure, there was an election and a Republican government got in. And the people were really over the moon because there was a lot of, for example, they brought in divorce, they brought in an awful lot of social advances. And then some people didn't like it, the Conservatives. So there was a rising, what we would here in Ireland would call a rising, but a coup d'etat. And General Franco, he started to, and there was a civil war. It was very, very sad. Very, very sad because you had brothers fighting against brothers. And it wasn't like the Irish Civil War. I know that was sad because people killed each other. But over there, it went on for years. It was just terrible. And when
So did you have an interest in politics?
Yeah, history. I always liked history. I liked the French Revolution. When I learned about it at school, I couldn't believe that these people could, ordinary people could think, I'm as good as these kings and queens.
There's a lot of Irish influence in the Spanish War as well, weren't there? A lot of Irish were involved in it as well.
Yes, there was. Here, the church told the people to go and fight with Franco because they said it was a crusade. So 700 Irishmen went to fight with Franco and 200 Irishmen went to fight on the Republican side. And the thing is, the ones who went with Franco, he didn't appreciate them much because he said they weren't good fighters or they got drunk. I don't know what it was. Well, I do, but I'm not. And the ones who fought, the 200, they were really, there's a monument now. After General Franco died, the Republicans started to recuperate their memory because before that they were sort of just thrown into the bin, to the history bin. And they started to go to the battlefields where these battles had been fought. And I mean, Hemingway, I don't know if you've read the book For Whom the Bells Toll. Well, he wrote about the Spanish Civil War and he was on the Republican side. And for example, you had people who cycled from Norway, got on their bike and came down to fight because this was a fight against fascism in their minds. And you had English people, you had Germans fighting against the Germans who held Franco. So you can imagine what an interesting war. Yeah. And these young men were all so young who came to fight against fascism. Christy Moore has a song, the Quinta Brigada. If you listen to it, you'll hear how he talks about it.
Crusade, as you call it.
No, Franco, the church here in Ireland called it a crusade against communism. But it wasn't. It was a republic. It was democratically elected to the parliament.
So that's had a very big influence on the Spain of today.
Oh, definitely. There's still that divide there.
Yeah. As in the Basque area where they have they have their own religion.
Catalonia, it isn't. Sorry. Yeah, but all of those. You see, Spain is a state of states because we think of Spain, but Spain
as one big country. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an awful big country, and you have a Catalan, and they have a different language, they have different customs, they have different dancing, and then the foreigners go to Andalusia where you have the flamenco dancing, but then in other parts. In Galicia, for example, you have Celtic-type people, and they even have Celtic crosses, and they have bagpipes, and their dance isn't like ours, but it's more similar. And then you have Asturias, and the people in Asturias, they believe that they conquered Spain from the Arabs, because in Spain there was the Moors were there for 800 years.
Of course, it's a huge country, and it touches on a lot of
cultures. Yeah,
yeah,
And you had a king of Navarra, which is near the Basque country.
Actually, you're talking about different musics and things like that. I was in part of Spain, and I came across fado singing.
You see, yeah.
And it was really Irish. It was really the same as like the Shannos singing here.
Yeah. Well, that might have been in the north, because down in Andalusia it's more Indian influence, gypsy style, and the Moorish. No, Spain is a wonderful country. It's fantastic, And the
so
food.
you liked living in Spain?
Oh yes, I did.
And another thing as well, talking about Spain and travelling around Spain, you did the El Camino as well. You've done some of the El Camino.
Yeah, yes, it's a great thing. I met some Japanese and German people on it.
What was your... The El Camino, we'll just talk about the El Camino first, that it's spiritual. It can be a spiritual journey.
It can be, but some people just go now as tourism. You know, it's a nice walk, and you know you're going to meet people on it. And then you stay in these hostels at night. So it's very interesting. I mean, the German woman I met, she wasn't Catholic, and the Japanese man wasn't either. So, I mean, it's some people will go, and they do say that if you go with problems, you're going to get blisters on your feet. But if you go and your mind is at peace, you won't get blisters.
Okay.
I don't know if they told you to buy Vaseline that you have to rub on your feet every day. Otherwise you get blisters. But some people even get blisters when they put the Vaseline on.
Okay. So do you think it's a little bit spoiled now with the fact that it's more of a tourism thing rather than the initial spiritual? It's called the way, the walk, the way.
Yeah, the walk. It's El Camino de Santiago. Saint James was supposed to have been one of the disciples.
To get indulgence.
Yeah, he was one of the 12 disciples. And in Spain he's called Mata Moros, the killer of Moors. So
do
he's
you
a
feel
saint.
sorry that it's lost his religious
Not really.
background?
I mean, if you're spiritual and you're walking in the country, it's the spiritual world is there with you.
So it doesn't pass through towns, it goes on the outside of towns, and it goes where there were old sites of old monasteries and hospitals. Tell us why that is. I found that really particularly interesting.
Did you find the little yellow arrows that you're supposed to
you
follow?
had to know those because you made sure you were following those.
Yes.
You didn't want to end up in the middle of a vineyard and you didn't know where the next place was.
You see, before it was a pilgrim was somebody, maybe he was sick or he was a sinner. So he was doing this as...
to gain indulgence.
Yes, when you got up to Santiago.
See, it's a silly thing to do, though, for a sinner, for a sick person to do.
Yeah,
walk.
but if you think before, you've got to remember even here in Ireland, when I was a child, I was always worried about dying. And I had that prayer, you know, that act of contrition to say in case you went to hell. But nowadays, I know God wouldn't send me to hell.
Yeah.
But people, maybe they had TB, they were a leper, they had been in the war and they had lost an arm, so they knew they were going to die, so they wanted to get this indulgence to get to heaven.
Yeah, well, in Ireland we have similar things, as you would know, like Loch Derg, again, indulgences
as well.
And Clymen Patrick.
Yes.
So you said earlier on that the Spanish didn't like talking about death or dying, the notion of dying.
Well,
they were superstitious about it, they didn't like to mention
it. Well, I found that in Madrid. I found that when I would say something like, "Oh, I better do it now while I'm alive because I might be dead tomorrow," you know, they don't talk about death, don't talk about death. And
why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Is it a fear or a superstition?
I haven't a clue. I just know at the beginning I used to think I want to go back to Ireland to die in Ireland. It's warmer than death here in Ireland, with the wakes and everything. And there I found it colder. But they're lovely people. The Spanish live. My God, if they live. They love life. They're great people.
And, okay, so talking about spiritualism and stuff like that, they have a different notion maybe of after death than or maybe a similar notion of after death, like spirits being around after death.
I don't know.
Well, you did say, we were talking earlier, where we have the month's mind to pray for a person who had died, but they pray they have that every week.
No, that's Mexicans. When I was in Spain, I met some Mexicans. They seem to be more comfortable with death
than the Spanish.
Well, that's what I find. That's only my opinion, but I don't know. But the Spanish, for example, and also on Saints' Day, they'll go to the graveyards and they bring flowers and they visit. They'll have, like here, we'd have the blessing of the graves. They really keep their graves clean and tidy, and they love to bring flowers.
So, Catherine, when you get down, when you have time to do some writing, what is your big influence in writing? What gives you the inspiration for a story?
No.
Where does it come from?
Just comes, you know.
Imagination, idea, a thought, or an experience, an experience in life, a life experience.
For example, the story
Love.
Yeah, love, or lack of it in my case. Yes.
There's something, so...
Yeah, lack of love in my case would get me writing. Or,
I think there's nothing like an emotion to drag stuff out of, like, i.e. a song or a poem or something, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just know that when I heard them talking about Shergar when I was in Leitrim, and I saw how superstitious Irish people are, I just couldn't believe it, because I was living in Spain where they're not. And that's when I decided I'd write the Shergar story about the fairy ring.
Okay, so that's imagination, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so when you sit down to write a story, you sit down with pen and paper, you sit down in front of your laptop?
Before I used to, but now with the laptop it's much handier. I mean, you just pop, and that's great.
So are you one of these late night writers who gets their inspiration, can't get up in the morning, but can't get up in the morning and do, but writes through the night and something to get something done? What kind of a writer are you?
No, I'm starting to be very disciplined, getting up early and starting.
You say the discipline is the way that people sit down and say, right, I have to write for 2 hours today.
Yes, well, I have started doing that, so it's very good. I get up around 7 and I do it. I can't believe it, so I'm happy with myself.
Yeah. So when you go to write a story, and you have your characters and everything in the story, do you secretly pick somebody you know and imagine what their life is like and fill it in that way, or do you give that person character?
It just comes to you. You might sit down thinking.
But you have to think it out though, because they have to stay true to the character.
Yeah, but sometimes you just sit down and all of a sudden it's coming to you. They're changing as you're writing, you know. And sometimes it's just nice, so you're lying in bed and all of a sudden things come to you.
Do characters ever pop out and say, oh goodness, where does this come out of now? Where's this person going to go, or something like that?
When you're writing, it's just growing. It grows.
So it does can happen.
It does, yeah. It does.
It grows. It's organic, maybe, is it?
It must be.
Spiritualism. You sound a little bit spiritual to me. You talked about the Hill of Tara, and you didn't like the fact that a road went right through the Hill of Tara.
Yeah, I mean, that's our sacred hill.
Sacred hill. What's a sacred hill?
Since I was young, I've heard.
How do you tell
Tara.
somebody who knows nothing about spirituals and things?
I mean, that's where our kings were crowned. I believe it was all a bit of trickery, that they'd have their friends under the hill. So when he was supposed to lift the stone, or what, I can't remember exactly what, the friends would roar underneath, so the hill of Tara roared, and he would be crowned King of Ireland. I mean, Tara is in our psyche. It's part of us. And
you think we've lost something because we're throwing away that?
I'm only joking when I say this, but after that road was built, there was permission given. I mean, what happened? The country went down. I'm only joking, but there might be a bit of truth in it. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, you know what they said about Sean Quinn?
I have that in the story.
Have
you? He had a
dolman
out the back.
Go on.
I just heard people talking about it. And
tell the viewers the story.
They said he shouldn't have moved the dolman that was out the back in the hotel. That's why all his bad luck came on him. I don't know. Do you think that's possible? But I mean, I heard people saying that. And I'm saying Irish people are very superstitious.
Well, in hindsight, people say things like that.
No, but they were saying that when I was
yeah,
first.
But when you look back, you can, you go to a fortune teller and he tells you weird stuff, and you go like. Whew. Then you look back 2 years later and you go, oh, that's what you kind of make yourself believe
maybe that was it. Yeah.
Okay, so Catherine, your interesting story that you had. You were driving along the road one evening.
Yeah, I was coming back from Enniskillen. I cross over. I got to Enniskillen. There's a readers group up there, writers group, and it was maybe 10 o'clock, and I was with a friend Pat, and he was driving. And we were coming back, we had passed Swanlin Bar. And all of a sudden I just said stop, because there was somebody in the middle of the road. And I asked him if he wanted a lift, and he got in.
Now you saw somebody in dark clothes on the middle of the road.
Well, I don't know if he was dark clothes, I just know that he seemed to have a light or something in his hand. And we could see him clearly. The night was dark.
Did he try to stop you or what?
I don't remember. We stopped because he was in the middle of the road.
Okay.
I just presumed he was a homeless person.
So you stopped the car?
Yeah, and we offered him a lift, and he got in, and he was talking, and of course I'm a mother, so I was giving out to him. I said, what were you doing in the middle of the road? Did you want to get killed? And he said to me, they threw me out of a van, something like that. Okay. And I thought, oh, this man, he's homeless, he's senile, he's just rambling.
Okay, so what was the first thing you noticed about him? What was his
nothing
physical
really,
appearance?
because I give lifts to people, so I wasn't really taking much notice of him. But I thought he had a nice speaking voice.
So there was nothing noticeable about him, like...
Not really.
Well, why did you think he was homeless then?
Oh, because he had a beard and he was wearing a cap down over his head and his hair was kind of unkempt.
Right.
But, I mean, I didn't notice anything unusual. I didn't notice at all because, as I say, I give people lifts and I don't take notice of them.
So you asked him, like, where are you going? Or did you ask him where he's going, or where did you want to lift to?
When I know when he said that he had no shoes, I was surprised. And I said, what size do you take? And he 9. And I said, oh, I can't give you my boots because I take size 7. Okay. And I was surprised that he wasn't wearing shoes because it had been raining earlier. And he mentioned something about a van and men throwing him out.
So he was trying to tell you a story about what happened to him?
I suppose, but I thought he was senile. I really did. I just thought he was a homeless person.
That was your impression of him. You thought he was senile.
My impression.
But he was trying to tell you that he was thrown out of a van and dumped along a road like this. Now, what were you going to do with this man when you picked him up and had him in your car? What were you going to do?
We were going to bring him into Ballinamore because we were very near Ballinamore.
Okay.
Because at least
Where in Ballinamore?
Oh, well, I never even thought about it. There are lights in Ballinamore. I mean, he was on a dark, unlit road.
So you were going to throw him out of the car in Ballinamore?
No, we wouldn't throw him out. We'd have opened the door and let him out. You know.
We're just going to let him out with no shoes in the middle of Ballinamore?
Well, I had offered him my shoes. I didn't even think about things like that. I was just thinking, this poor man, you know, homeless.
Okay.
I was
you got
convinced
to Ballinamore.
he was homeless.
Ballinamore.
No, before we got to Ballinamore, he asked me to phone direct inquiries. And I did.
On your own phone?
On my own phone.
Okay.
And he gave me the name of a person and an address.
Okay.
And the lady who answered the phone...
And where was this address? Like, was it in Leitrim? You can't
No,
tell.
it wasn't Leitrim, I don't think. I wouldn't even know because I've been away from Ireland for so long, you know.
Well, what county was it he was looking for?
I can't remember. He didn't say county. He gave a name and he gave a...
Okay.
And
so you tried to do that for him?
Yeah, and the lady on the other side said she didn't have that number. And then we realised, Pat, my friend, realised he had a phone in his hand. And he said, why don't you use your own phone? And then he handed Pat the phone, and Pat phoned the man who was on the phone. And they spoke, and we decided...
So you got in contact with somebody on the phone, on his phone?
Yeah, and we decided, we told him we were taking his friend into Ballinamore, and he didn't, don't know if he didn't know where or what reason, but then we decided we'd take him to Carrick-on-Shannon. It was nearer. And, you know, Carrick-on-Shannon, it's a town in Leitrim. It's a lovely town.
Yeah.
And we were going to take him there. But then when we got to Ballinamore, we saw that a Garda station was opened. So we went in there. So when you, just in the car then, did you ask this guy, did you try to give you any explanation or reason why he was on the road? I didn't even ask him because I just thought he was somebody who was thumbing. Homeless.
So you didn't push him any
no.
questions? You didn't ask him?
I mean, I pick people up the whole time and I don't ask them any questions.
Okay.
They just want to live normally and you give them the lift and that's it.
Okay.
I mean, it's just being a good Samaritan.
So you felt more sorry for the person than in fear of him, obviously?
Oh, yes, the poor man. I mean, just think if you're out on a dark night and it had been raining. I mean, God love him.
You got to the Garda station.
And we left him in there. The guard was very nice. They were very nice.
Okay.
You know,
just brought him into the station.
Yeah, and he sat down and she gave him some tea and biscuits. And then I saw that he was hungry because he asked for more biscuits. And I said, would you like some chips? Because by now it must have been 11 o'clock and everywhere would have been closed.
Okay.
So we went out to buy the chips for him. And when we came back, the Bongarda told us that he was a missing person. So we were very happy that we had united, that he would be reunited with his family. You know, so we went home happy, thinking at least we've done a good deed. Okay,
so just to get a synopsis of what happened again, you brought him to the Garda station and they were nice to him. How did they establish he was a missing person? Did he say he was a missing person or did he give his name?
We left, but I presume they asked his name and they must have looked it up on the computer.
Right, okay.
And they would have his name. You know,
so you
people
think
are
it was
missing.
the Gardaí established that he was a missing person?
I suppose, yeah, because we, as I say, I wasn't no
You
more
weren't sure. So
I wasn't really interested. You know,
okay.
we had left him in safe hands, so we felt good. That was our...
So that was your good deed. You brought the man.
Not our,
but
you know, that was our interest. That
okay.
he wasn't in the middle of the road a dark night, because he could have been killed. I mean, a car could have come very fast, or he could if it started raining again, he could have got wet. So at least if you're in a town, you can go into a shop, you know, shelter under a shop or something. But even in the middle of a country road, where can you shelter?
So when was it established? When did you actually hear his identity?
I don't know if it was 2 days later on the
Through
paper.
the media, obviously.
Yeah, on the paper.
Were you shocked, surprised, or...?
I was kind of thinking, my God, he was completely different. Because, you know, the man we picked up was very thin. And he looked like a homeless person.
Oh yeah, when you saw the picture of him in the paper, then he looked completely
I just
different.
thought, God, he's completely different. He doesn't look like the man I picked up at all. You know.
So then the story started to come out in the media that he was captured, like imprisoned for 7 months, and that he was fed a ham sandwich a day, and he was in a black container and all this sort of stuff. Came out in the media, didn't it, really?
Yeah.
And then people were asking you, like, you know, you got calls to tell your story of how you found this man.
Yeah, I got a few calls. And then, I mean, people say, were you surprised? As I say, I didn't feel anything. I was just glad he was united with his family. Really, that was my feeling. He
was taken to hospital where he's in.
Yeah, but at least his family would know where he was.
He was in hospital
because I
for a
mean,
long
you
time.
just think if you have a relative and they go missing, wouldn't you be so worried about them? I would anyhow. And then all of a sudden his family would have known where he was. So that would have been a relief for them. That's how I felt. You know?
Well, as the time has gone on now, this man is still in the media, and then the story came out about his business and things like that. But somewhere along the line, it's been said alleged that this is some kind of a hoax, that he wasn't really imprisoned. That's been in the media.
I know, but I've got to the stage where if I see anything about him, I don't bother my head reading it.
But are you surprised or disappointed or anything like that?
I don't. I don't. It doesn't interest me. I know that's a very unusual thing to say, but he's been on the media for so long.
Now, yeah.
That you just get to the stage where you think, oh God, I don't want to read about this anymore.
But basically, it's the bones of a good story, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's nearly like a Stephen King story, really, isn't it?
I have to write about it sometime, but I don't think I will because it's too...
Could you not even write a short story about it?
I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, I'm so busy at the moment. I have so much to do.
Anyway, tell us about the stories you do have out on the internet and that you are going to put out on the internet now.
I'm going to, we'll have a book out in 2 months' time.
A book?
Yeah, a book.
Very good.
And the internet as well. Because now it seems I might be 60, but it seems the way to go is the internet.
So are you on Facebook? Do you have a Facebook page or anything like that? So people can tap into you and say what you're at and what you're doing?
I'm not really into Facebook.
You're into Facebook. Okay, so your book, tell us about the book that you're going to have out soon.
Oh, I'll have stories, love stories.
Oh yeah, I think you like the love stories, don't you?
Of course I do.
That's written from what? Emotion, experience, or what? Or pain?
From everything. It's life. What happens to you in life?
Yeah, it doesn't make you right. It does, doesn't it?
Does,
Of course it does. So it's a book of short stories, is it?
Yes.
And what's it going to be called?
Shergar and the Fairy Ring.
Right, so...
that will be one of the stories. And then there's another story called Love is Fattening. It's about this girl who lives in Spain. You know,
right. And that's based on experience or on your life in Spain?
Yeah, about what happened in Spain. There was a coup d'etat.
So, Catherine, if we want to learn more about your reading and to get, to get your books, tell us where they're going to, when it's going to be published or who's going to publish them or where we would get them. Oh,
God, I'd have to give you the name another time because I can't remember it at the moment. Sorry.
Well, maybe when you have your book published, you can come in and talk about it.
Oh, yes, I'd love to.
Would you that's Shergar in the Fairy...
In the Fairy Ring.
Fairy Ring.
Yeah.
And it's a book of love stories.
Yes, mostly love stories, yeah.
Well, Catherine Vallaly, writer, Thank you very much for coming in to talking to us this evening. Thank you very much for coming into the studio. Thank you. Hardy men of Cavan went along to the White Star in Cavan, where they just literally offered themselves up, their legs and their chests, to be shaved in whatever manner it takes or took. And so cut to it now, cut to the...
Everybody these days knows somebody that has cancer. People often say, well, why, like, you know, there's someone belonging to has cancer. Everyone that I speak to, you know, every day, like, it's either a brother, a sister, an uncle, an aunt, a friend. Everybody. There's nobody in here tonight that wouldn't know somebody that has cancer. You know, if I was around each and individually, everybody would say, yeah, being there, you know, yeah, I know someone. And it's even worse when kids have it and someone young dies young.
Okay, so a lot of fun was had there on the night in the White Star, and it was all for a cause, a good cause, for Cancer Foundation cause in Cavan. Okay, so for another cause now, my next two guests in the studio are here to tell me about Kidney Association of Ireland. With me in the studio, I've got Aoibhinn and Eyna, and they're going to tell me all about their fundraising event for the
Irish Kidney Association.
Okay, girls, you're welcome. Thank you for coming into the studio. So, Aoibhinn, you are doing the fundraising for Irish Kidney Association. So, what's your connection with it?
We decided to raise funds and awareness for the Irish Kidney Association, as we have two members of the family affected by kidney disease, and we wanted to obviously raise the precedent of the charity. The Irish Kidney Association work very closely with the National Kidney Unit in Beaumont Hospital, providing not only support for the person with kidney disease but for the families. If there's somebody in the hospital in need of care, they provide accommodation free of charge and support for family members. So we wanted to obviously raise awareness, and our family decided to enter 5 members of the family to run the Belfast Marathon.
Well done. So you're both sisters?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of your siblings that's got
yes,
your sister and your brother,
brothers. Yeah.
Really got kidney disease?
Yeah.
Okay, so do they get kidney dialysis in Cavan?
No, they don't.
They
It's in Dublin, yeah, the National Kidney Unit in Beaumont. But obviously we wanted to raise it for the Irish Kidney Association for the work to do all over Ireland.
Yeah, you were explaining that the foundation actually provides help for the family and...
Yeah, it's fantastic, and accommodation. So, you know, if people aren't obviously in Dublin or in the area, they don't have to travel. They provide accommodation right beside the hospital, which is fantastic.
And so, Aine, like, how many times a week do your family members have to travel to Dublin?
It's actually every few months they travel up for tests, and more, they're on regular medication and that.
But they're not actually on dialysis?
No, not at the moment, no. So.
Okay. So you've got 5 people, and they're going to run the marathon in Belfast, which is 26.2 miles, isn't that what a marathon is?
Yes, they're entering it as a relay team.
A relay team?
Yeah.
So they've divided the miles in between
so
them all, so
it's
not no, it's not too tough. But
Because it is on the 8th of May.
Yeah, so that's quite soon.
Yeah,
actually. So are they in training?
Oh, they are, yes.
They're all from Red Hills?
Yeah, we're all
Okay.
from the same household.
Well, I guess they've got the easy end doing the run. I think the hard end is raising the funds.
Yeah,
it is.
So, okay, girls, tell me how you're going to raise your funds.
Well, we have a lot of sponsorship cards that are going to be in the shops and pubs in the local area, and there's also going to be posters. We're holding a fundraising night in Conley's Pub in Scott's House. It's taking place on the 20th of April. There will be live music, there'll be food, pool competition, a raffle with many prizes. We've had so many people come forward and say they'd like to sponsor us with a prize for the raffle, and they've just been fantastic. We've got some amazing prizes. Also, on the 28th of April, we're having a cake sale after the Sunday Mass in Scott's House Village as well, to try and raise as much as possible.
How do you find it, girls, now in the present economic climate, and we're all saying that with aplomb, it is hard to raise funds now.
Definitely.
And you nearly have to come up with something different there. We saw in the past clip there where guys offered themselves up for wax shaving, you know, to raise funds there for cancer.
But
is it hard to come up with something different? Or
it is, yeah, but we have found that the local community have been fantastic at rallying round. Even though the economic climate isn't ideal at the moment, people have been so fantastic at supporting such a worthy cause, and we just want to thank all the local businesses that have came behind us, like Marie Smith's Salon. We've had Liberty Bell from Clonus.
I think that when it's maybe like you are putting your family members out there and people know it's a family member, you're making everybody aware of what the actual money raised does.
And I think it's the awareness, because obviously there's so many other charities out there, you know, but we really wanted people to become aware of there is so many people suffering with kidney disease, and some support isn't available in local hospitals, and they do have to travel. So we did want to raise it sort of all around the country as much as we can.
So you have a full calendar of events now.
We definitely do. Our hands are full for the next while.
Yeah, and you know, have you done this? Is this your first time raising?
This is our first time. Yeah, we're hoping it'll now be a yearly thing, but this is our first year.
Okay,
and we're quite lucky because we're a big family, so we're all
getting plenty of it. Everyone has a job.
So, at a conservative estimate, you know, have you got a target?
We actually haven't set a target at all, really. We're just hoping. I think anything will make a difference, and I think we'll be happy once we know we've done our best.
And it is, and as you say, it is taking into account the current climate as well, and it's not easy to come by these funds, but anything would help.
Yeah, well, I think the fact that you're making it aware what the money is for, and they can see it being used, it's not swallowed into a black hole like the term research or anything like that.
No.
You know?
And it's a good start, as we say. We do want to carry this on, hopefully, as an annual thing. And if we can just make people aware at the minute, and if they can give anything at all, would be fantastic.
Yeah, well done, girls. So, have you any ideas for like a really crazy event, like something like really different?
No, because I think a lot of people in our family, they're shy and quiet, so we want to just keep it the basic entertainment, and
I think because the local community is very involved, and people would love like our night that we have arranged.
Yeah, I think the music and the food, and once the crack is good, I think everyone's going to enjoy it.
Behind you.
Yeah,
so you're sticking to the conventional things. And
I think that works best, definitely. In a small area like ours, I think it definitely works best.
Okay, so how are the members of your family that are affected? How is the quality of life in general?
Oh, their quality of life is very good. It is hard, no doubt, But they get on very well on day-to-day basis, and they're really happy about us all doing this.
Yeah.
In support of them and everybody that is affected by kidney disease.
And is there support as well from the the Kidney Association of Ireland to help the sufferers themselves in life as well? Is there?
There is definitely. There's loads of support put in place, and that comes right from the minute they we find that with our family members going into the National Kidney Unit in Beaumont. Fantastic support from the doctors, the carers, everybody involved, right out, and that stems right across the whole family. When family members needed to stay in beside the person in the kidney unit, we find them just fantastic.
Yeah, because people would be stressed about funds and staying in
It
Dublin
is.
and missing time of taking time off work and things
and
like that.
everything is free of charge. Like, they don't ask for anything, so we just really want to give something back.
Okay, so well done, girls. So what about these people you've got running training for the marathon? So how is the training going, or what are
got
they at?
Francis.
I think it's a bit of a cheat though, just running it in a relay.
Well, last year there was...
Seriously?
Maybe next year they'll do the whole lot themselves.
Yeah, I
but
think
for the
last
first
year in the Belfast Marathon there was something like 2,200
Yeah.
relay teams entered the marathon last year. To make it probably that little bit easier. But it's supposed to be because we are a very close family. I think it's something that we wanted to do as part of a family, so it's not, so
Just
they
one
could,
person or
and support each other and encourage each other in doing it.
Yeah, actually, the idea probably is a good idea, because many people do want to run in a marathon, but the thought of 26.2 miles is not possible.
And it's very ambitious, isn't it?
It's too ambitious.
It
so
is.
A relay is more ambitious. More people can take part, more fun, raise more funds.
And the 8th of May is very soon. So it is hard, I suppose, to get the
we
training
only
and
undertook
everything.
this about 2 weeks ago. It just all started coming
just landed
together.
it on them 2 weeks ago.
It just
came to
fell
us
into
really.
place, it's something we have wanted to do for a long time, and then it's just getting out there and doing it, isn't
I
it?
wouldn't like heading out on a cold morning now.
No, it's thankfully,
so divide 5 into 26 points. So they're doing.
But it's not split. I think the way the relay works is one person. I think the main chunk is 7.1 miles, and then it's broke down into smaller chunks. We've got Francis, Jared.
So you've one strong runner.
Yes.
Luckily, 4 of the members especially are very into their football and exercise, so they are quite fit anyway. So.
And the last chunk, I think, is 3.75 or something miles. So
that'll be the happy person, the one.
the one at the end. The relief. That's Francis.
Okay, well done, girls. So have you any big night in the future now to launch this, so that people can know and come along about this and see?
We haven't. What we have is it's on Facebook. Because it's obviously a very popular social networking site. So
and what's your name on Facebook?
It's just the Irish Kidney Association fundraiser.
And your event is in there,
Yeah, so if anybody is interested, the whole details are on Facebook on that page, and if they could like and share it with as many people as possible, it'd be great to get the word out. And there'll also be details for anybody that wants to make a small donation on that page.
Sorry, Aine, if somebody wants to donate through the Facebook page or to make a donation if they're listening tonight or anything like that, where's the best place to make the best place to make a donation?
We have a contact number.
Do you want to call that out now?
Yeah, it's 087 1942 941.
Say that again.
087 1942 941. And that is a contact number, and also we have opened a bank account. We're waiting on the account number to come through to us, which will be through on Wednesday this week. So
and all that will be up.
That will be up on Facebook by Wednesday evening. So if anybody would like to make a transaction, that would be the best way probably to do it.
Well done. And you said just 2 weeks now you gave your poor runners time to
as we say, we think they're quite fit and healthy.
Yeah, so train a lot for football.
So we think they're ready.
I tell you, you might be quite fit.
Obviously, we didn't put ourselves forward for it, but
I'm quite happy to do the fundraising.
Okay, girls, well done. Thank you for coming into the studio.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
The best of luck for your fundraiser.
Thank you.
Okay, so that takes me to the end of this week's show. I'd like to thank my guests in the studio, Aoibhinn and Eyna, for coming along, and to Catherine Vallaly. Well, do have a wonderful Easter weekend, and do take care.